Shri Ganapati Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Peritam Raghunathasya Shatakoti Pravistaram Ekaikamaksharam Pumsam Mahapatakanashanam. Welcome to all for this session on Sri Rama Charitha Manasa to the great story of Sita Swayamvara, in which all the kings have tried to shake the bow of Shiva as according to the vow taken by Janaka in order to win over Sita, but none of them could able to succeed. That had sent Janaka into the state of despair, and he announced that there exist no heroes on this world who would break his vow. And at that point, Lakshmana got angry for the words of Janaka, which were uttered in the presence of Sri Rama, who has not yet showed his ability. And then he rose up and announced in the whole assembly that in the presence of Rama, such words are not at all acceptable. And if Rama permits, Lakshmana would cut the bow into two in minutes, and if required, he could even sting it and run with that for 800 miles. And at that point, Rama silenced him because of the presence of his preceptor Vishwamitra. Soon, Vishwamitra, realizing the humbleness of Rama, commanded Rama to go and lift the bow and break the vow of Janaka. As the chiefs of Raghu, Sri Ramachandra rose on his elevated seat like the morning sun rising on the mountain. All the saints were delighted like so many lotuses, and their eyes were glad as bees at the return of day. The hopes of the rival kings vanished as night, and their boasts died away like the serried stars. Arrogant princes shriveled up like the lilies, and the false kings shrank away like owls. Sages and gods, like the Chakravaka bird, were rid of their sorrow and rained down flowers in token of their homage. Affectionately reverencing the Guru's feet, Sri Rama asked leave of the Munis. The Lord of all creation then stepped forth in his natural grace with the tread of a noble and beautiful elephant in rut. As Sri Rama moved ahead, all men and women of the city rejoiced and thrilled all over their body, invoking the mains and gods and recalling their own past good deeds. They prayed, if our religious merits are of any value, O Lord Ganesha, may Rama snap the bow of Shiva as it were a lotus stag. Lovingly gazing on Sri Rama and bidding her companions draw near, Sita's mother spoke words full of anguish out of affection. Who even those are called our friends, dear ones, are mere spectators of a show. No one urges the preceptor Vishwamitra and tells him that the two princes are yet boys and that such insistence on his part is not desirable. Knowing that Ravana and Banasura did not even touch the bow, and that all other kings were worsted in spite of all their bows, strange that he should give the same bow into the hands of this young prince. Can signets ever lift Mount Mandara? Good sense has taken leave of the king, and unknown are the dispensation of providence, O dear ones. However, one of her sharp witted companions gently replied, the glorious are not to be lightly regarded, O queen. What comparison is there between the sage Agastya, who was born of a jar, and the vast ocean? At the sage Agastya drained the entire ocean dry. and his good fame has spread throughout the world. The orb of the sun is so small to look at the moment it rises, the darkness of all the three worlds disappears. His sacred formula indeed is very small, although it has under its sway Brahma, Hari, Hara, and all other gods. Tiny goat governs the mightiest and most furious elephant. Armed with a bow and arrows of flowers, Cupid has brought the whole universe under subjection. Realizing this, O good lady, give up all doubt. Rama, O queen, will assuredly break the bow. I tell you, the queen felt reassured at these words of her companion. Her despondency was gone, and her love for Sri Rama grew. Then, casting a glance toward Sri Rama, Videha's daughter implored with anxious heart. It was Sita implored with anxious heart, each god in turn. He inwardly prayed in a distressed state of mind. Be gracious to me, O great Lord Shiva and Bhavani, and reward my services by lightening the weight of the bow out of affection for me. O God Ganesha, the chief of Shiva's attendants, O bestower of boons, it is for this day that I have adored you. Listening to my repeated supplication, therefore, reduce the weight of the bow to a mere trifle. Gazing repeatedly on the person of Sri Rama and summoning courage, Sita prayed to gods. Her eyes were filled with tears of love, and the hair on her body stood on their end. She feasted her eyes to their fill on Sri Rama's beauty, but then the thought of her father's woe agitated her mind. She said to herself, Alas, my father has made a terrible resolve, having no regard to good or evil consequences. The ministers are afraid, therefore none of them gives him good counsel. It is all the more pity that it should be so in a conclave of wise men, while on this side stands the bow harder than adamant. On the other side, we find that dark complexioned prince of delicate frame and tender age. How then, O God, can I maintain my balance of mind? Is a diamond ever pierced with the pointed end of a sirisha flower? The sense of the whole assembly has become dull, hence my only hope now lies in you. O Shambhu's bow, imparting your heaviness to the assembly, grow light yourself at the sight of, in proportion to the size of Sri Rama. Sita felt much agitated at heart. An instant hung heavy on her as 100 yugas. Gazing now at the Lord and now at the ground, her restless eyes sparkled as if two cupid's fish disported themselves in the pale like orb of the moon. Held captive within her lotus like mouth, her bee like speech did not stir out for fear of the night of modesty. Tears remained confined within the corner of her eyes, just as the gold of stingy miser remains buried in a nook of his house. Sita felt abashed when she perceived her great agitation of mind, summoning up courage in her heart. Therefore, she confidently said to herself, if I am true to my vow in thought, word, and deed, And if my mind is really attached to the lotus feet of Sri Rama, I'm sure God, who dwells in the heart of all, will make me Sri Rama's bond slave. For one gets united without doubt with him, for whom one cherishes true love. Casting a glance at the Lord, she resolved to love him even at the cost of her life. Sri Rama, the embodiment of compassion, understood it all. Looking at Sita, he glanced at the bow as Garuda, the king of birds, would gaze on a poor little snake. When Lakshmana perceived that the jewel of Raghu's race had cast a glance at the bow of Hara, the hair of his body stood erect, and he uttered the following words, pressing the crust of the earth under his foot. O elephants, guarding the cardinal points, O divine tortoise, O serpent king, and O divine boar, steadily hold the earth as it may not shake. Sri Rama seeks to break the bow of Shankara. Therefore, listen to my command and be ready. When Rama drew near to the bow, men and women present there invoked in his behalf the help of gods as well as of their past good deeds. The doubts and ignorance of all who had assembled there, the arrogance of the foolish kings, proud pretensions of Parashurama, the chief of Brigu's race, the apprehension of gods and the great sages, the distress of Sita, King Janaka's remorse, and the fire of Queen's terrible agony, all these boarded together the great bark of Shambhu's bow, with whose help they sought to cross the boundless ocean of the Sri Rama strength of arm. But unfortunately, there was no helmsman to steer the ship. Rama first looked at the crowd of spectators and found them motionless as the figures of drawing. The gracious Lord then turned his eyes toward Sita and perceived her in deep distress. Thus, everything is set forth for the drama to be rolled out where Rama and Sita need to be united. नमस्ते शारदा देवी काश्मीरपुरवासिनी त्वामहं प्रार्थये नित्यं विद्यादानं च देहि मे बाय
श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपाल भज मन हरण भव भयदारुणं श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपाल भज मन हरण भव भयदारुणं श्रीराम 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 श्रीराम